Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Katerina, or Kat if you're new here. And in today's video, we are doing one of my favorite videos to create monthly. It is something that I love doing for myself, and that is a reset video. Now, there are a bunch of reset videos out there, and every single person does their reset videos differently. Usually my videos are a sit down video with, images and graphs and talking through books and talking through what I'm planning on reading in the next month, my goals, what my goals are going to be looking like, so on and so forth. I just really enjoy the consistency of these videos because not only does it help me stay accountable for the goals that I am setting, but also for the last 11 months of my life, I feel like I have not been in a routine. I feel like I haven't been meeting my goals. I feel like I haven't really been setting goals or really caring about goals for the last 11 months. I have been in a brain fog literally since the day my daughter was born. This October reset vlog is me just kind of getting back into routine. It's me finding routine again in everyday life, and that is what this vlog is about. It is about resetting, hitting the reset button on just life in general. So we're going to be going through my October goals. We're going to be going through the books that I read last month. We're going to be going through the books I'm hoping to read in October. And we're going to be going over and setting up my monthly budget for the month of October. I'll be putting that segment at the end of this video for people that just aren't into financial goal setting or anything financial setting. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the goals I am planning on setting in the month of October. So I do have 5 goals to go over, and the first one is under YouTube. And for YouTube, the only thing that I really want to focus on is finding my rhythm again and really wanting to get back into YouTube. So making sure I'm finding my rhythm, creating content I'm going to personally enjoy is really important to me going into October. Then for my reading goal, it is to read at least 2 books from my fall TBR. If you haven't seen my fall TBR video, definitely go check it out. It was the last video that I created. There are some really great books on there, and there are a few that I kind of have my eye out for the fall October season. I am a person that does not set a TBR. I'm a person that tries to avoid setting a TBR, but it just gives me a general idea of what I want to read in certain months and in certain seasons. Then moving on, my financial goal. So my financial goal for the month of October is to review all subscriptions and cancel at least one that we don't use as often. There are a few subscriptions that are at the top of my head that we've maybe only used every once in a great while, and I do think that those need to be canceled so that money can go towards something else. And then a relationship goal. So relationship goals for me can either be platonic relationship goals with my friends and family, or it can be goals obviously with my husband. So the goal under relationship is to plan one date night in and one date night out. Planning for date nights, especially date nights out, become a little bit more complicated when there's a little bit more involved, such as planning for a babysitter. So we have to kind of make sure that we have something set up in advance. And then the final category is the personal category, and this goal is to get my screen time to be below 3 hours. This is something that I've gotten really, really bad at, and actually my screen time hours at the beginning of when I was on maternity leave was 10 times worse. I think I remember one of the days being almost 10 plus hours of screen time, and it's so very easy to get into that scrolling habit when you have a newborn and you're breastfeeding or you're pumping, and it's one that I'm finding very difficult to break. All right, so those are the goals that I'm setting for the month of October. Now let's move on from goals and let's talk about books and the books that I read in the month of September. So this is just going to be a quick rapid wrap up of the books that I read in September, and there are not many of them. There's only 4 of them, and the first one is the Grimoire Grammar School Parent-Teacher Association by Caitlin Rozakis. I ended up giving this, I believe, a 3-star, and the reason why is because of how the book was marketed. The book was marketed as a very cozy fantasy, a certain fantasy world meets Gilmore Girls, and it definitely did not give that vibe. This book follows our main character, Viv, who is navigating a very difficult situation where her daughter was turned into a werewolf and has to go to this new school for paranormal children. And I thought going into this was going to be a cute, cozy, when you say Gilmore Girls, you think very small town, but this book actually shows a lot of trauma. You have a main character that has severe anxiety, severe depression, and a severe PTSD. And it's very well prominent in this book. as well as the characters' actions. That was the first book. It was definitely a flump. Continuing with one of my favorite just laugh out loud rom-coms that I personally enjoy, and that is Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. This is just absolutely adorable. It's one of my favorite trilogies. It's pretty much an office romance set in a very cliche fairy tale world. There is a frog that holds up signs. There is a villain that really isn't villainy, and then there's the main character who is like literally sunshine and rainbows, and it is the cutest sunshine grumpy romance that you'll probably ever read. Then moving on to the next book that I read in September, and this is a book that you guys saw in my reading with an infant vlog, and that is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. If you want to know my thoughts on this, go and watch this video. But I gave this one, I think, a 4.5, 4 stars, I can't remember. It was enjoyable, it was cozy, it's cottagecore, adorable witchy vibes. I loved everything about it. This was my first book from Sangu Mandana. I know that she also wrote The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Haven't read that one, but this was really enjoyable. 4 stars. Also in my What I Realistically Read in a Week with an Infant, I read The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. In that vlog, I did not finish this book. However, I did finish it a few days later. This is, I'm gonna say it, this is the first 5-star book I have given in 2 years. I looked back on my story graph. I have not given a book a 5-star in 2 years. That tells you something. This is funny. This is laugh out loud. It is gruesome. It is brutal. It is everything I want in a high fantasy. I love the characters. I love the dynamics between the characters. Everything about this, I loved. There is, I guess, from my understanding, this is a standalone. There will be other books in this universe, and I definitely plan on picking them up. I also plan on picking up Joe Abercrombie's other work because his writing is so enrapturing. Alright, so let's move on from the September books that I read, and let's talk about the books that I'm planning on and hoping to read in the month of October. All of the books that I have picked for the month of October are definitely in a line with my mood currently. So here's what I'm hoping to read in the month of October. As you can see, every single one of these books is vibing with my I want a cozy fantasy magical realism rom-com. Out of all 6 of these books, 4 match the description of what I'm really hoping to read in the month of October. I want cozy, I want laid back, I want low stake, I want a little bit of romance, and I want all of the little pieces of fantasy and magical realism. We have Road Trip with a Vampire and The Good Vampire's Guide to Blood and Boyfriends, both having that vampire romance rom-com feel to them. You have The Entanglement of Rival Wizards, which has an elf versus a human in a PhD competition. Then we have Before the Coffee Gets Cold with that magical element of time travel. And then, of course, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. And then to top it all off, a spooky classic, The Legend of the Sleepy Hollow, which I have never read and I've wanted to read for quite some time. They're screaming cozy sweater weather season. Those are the books that I'm looking for right now and that I'm very excited to read right now. All right, so moving on from my October TBR, let's talk about my October monthly budget tracker as well as how I'm going to be going about my finances in the month of October. So to give you guys a background on just my financial situation, I do work a full-time 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday. I'm on a flex schedule, so that allows me to have every other Friday off. I do get paid twice a month because I am on salaries. Well, technically, some months I do get paid 3 times just because of how the month ends up working out. My husband and I are on a mine, yours, ours financial system. So that means that I have my own bank account, my husband has his own bank account, and when there comes to bills and subscriptions and things that are needed jointly, we do have a payment system that we've kind of figured out for ourselves. Now, before I get into the actual tracker itself, I did want to point out that tracking has been something that's been very difficult for me. It's not that I don't have the best relationship with money, I do have a fear around money and a fear around finances, and it's a fear that I've been really trying to break, and it's conversations that I've had with my husband as well. He's really great with figuring out finances, will help me out, help me figure out where my money needs to go, where my money should be allocating, where I should be investing my money. I've never had a really great understanding of it, And because there's never really been any conversation around money, money is always something that's very hush hush in families. So here is my monthly budget tracker. When I was looking for a monthly budget tracker, I was looking for something very simplistic. I wanted something that had my income, bills, subscriptions, savings, debts, a summary of everything. I wanted a very simple graphs, and I wanted a transaction log. So I did fill out the paycheck just to kind of give you guys an idea of what it would look like at $8,000. I do not make $8,000 per paycheck, but I wanted to show something because I don't feel yet comfortable sharing what I make per paycheck. Maybe in the future I will share to give you guys an idea and to show you guys how the graphs will populate. When I put in my under my income 8,000 and 8,000 actual, it will populate in the bar graph. So because of the fact that this is pretty much the very first month that I'm really getting into tracking, this is not filled out. Under income, there's paycheck 1, paycheck 2, and paycheck 3, and then bonus, side hustle, and tax return. So for now, I'm just gonna leave the fake 8,000 under paycheck 1 in income and moving on to bills and subscriptions. I'm not fully comfortable filling out what I pay in my car insurance and home insurance and property tax or anything like that, but I am comfortable filling out a few of these. So for gym membership, I at least pay $62 a month. And then of course, filling out my subscriptions. So we have Amazon, Spotify, Peacock, and Netflix. These I all pay for myself because of the fact that I had them before I ever met my husband. So for Amazon, I have the Amazon subscription, and then I have the Spotify subscription, and then I have Peacock, and then I have Netflix. We do pay obviously in childcare, car insurance, home insurance, property tax, garbage, phone, internet, and utilities. So if I was to fill these out, it would actually be in half because my husband and I split all of those except for phone and car insurance. Then moving on to variable expenses. So everything under variable expenses is sort of mostly split between my husband and I, except for some of them. For groceries, my husband and I split 2 grocery days. So that means that I go grocery shopping 1 day a month and my husband goes grocery shopping the second day a month. So for groceries, I do $250, but we're around $500 plus per month, especially with the baby. For fuel, because I work from home, I'm usually only doing about $60 to $70 per month in fuel. Dining out, we very rarely dine out. I do allow a lot, around $50. Clothing is also, I do set this to 0. And the reason why is I try to avoid buying clothes. I'm not a big clothes shopper. For entertainment, I am setting this to around $50. Think about entertainment. I think about going to the zoo, going to certain parks, going to activities that require money. So for gifts, in October, we have my daughter's first birthday. And then in November, we have my husband's birthday. And then in December, we have the holiday season. So for gifts, I am putting $50 because I don't think a 1-year-old needs many things. O's needs. So babies have a lot of needs. They need diapers, they need wipes, they need clothes. So I usually for O's needs set it around $100. Car maintenance I set around $50. Pet care I set around $50. Home repairs and home decors, we don't have any that I can think of this month. Travel is going to be around $0. We aren't traveling anywhere this month, nor do I think there is any plans for it. And then books. I do have books as a variable expense. And this is why. Because 2 times a year, I go book shopping and I buy whatever books I want. That is during my birthday because of the fact that I get gift cards and I do allot myself a little bit extra money to buy more books. And then in January, after the holiday season, I get gift cards and I allot myself a little bit of money. And then medical expenses and medications, I will set it to about $150. So then for the savings section, we have Travel Sync Fund and we have O's savings account. So for Travel Sync Fund, that's set around $0. And then my husband and I, from both of our paychecks, put in money into our daughter's savings account and we put in around $100 each. Then for debts, so I don't feel comfortable sharing what I have to pay for my student loans, my mortgage, and my car payment. I will say though that my car payment is coming to an end here within the next year. So as you can see in the summary, it actually started populating my fixed expenses. So it shows you my fixed expenses, my variable expenses, and then the amount I have in savings. So that is how I fill out the monthly budget tracker. I didn't fill out everything. I didn't fill out obviously most of the bills and everything else. Maybe in the future, if I'm a little bit more comfortable putting those costs down along with my debt repayment, I will put them in. But that gives you guys an idea about how I'm going about tracking my October finances. Through my work, I do put into a 401k and Roth IRA, so that helps push towards my investments for savings. There are a lot of things that I'm still learning about finances. There's a lot of things that I'm still learning about investments, understanding cash flow, money in versus money out, monthly budgeting. There's a lot that I'm still learning. So be patient with me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely give it a thumbs up. If there's any goal, if there's anything that you really want to focus on in the month of October, definitely let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.